Jeff.
I'm Sarah.
And we visited Kinship Center. Kinship Center's mission, well, their primary mission or vision is to provide the full spectrum of family-centered support to strengthen the families and communities they serve. I just want to read the little excerpt in their pamphlet. Our name, Kinship Center, captures the spirit of our mission to provide families, extended families, and community support to children who have been neglected, abused, or abandoned. The primary clients are the families and children who are involved in adoption and foster care, and they focus on permanent solutions rather than temporary ones to allow the children to thrive. According to the social worker that we met with, the demographic trends are very diverse. The ages tend to be 6 and above, and pregnant mothers are most common. She also said that the needs have not changed over time, therefore the demographics have not changed over time. The services that they provide are full service adoption care, full service foster care, kinship care, mental health services. Kinship Center is the only agency that has an exclusive mental health department in America. They also provide wraparound services and home study for foster adoption services and education resources for families after adoption. Kinship Center helps parents or relatives struggling to keep their new family intact, and parenting meaning the special needs of children with medical disabilities, through parent education and mentoring, family counseling and support groups, and licensed clinics that provide children's mental health services. So they focus more on, or a lot on, after they adopt rather than getting the children adopted. And the services are provided to families or children who have been touched by foster care or adoption. The Kinship Center helps reduce the incidence of child abuse and neglect by offering educational and supportive services. They provide a successful way for the child to heal. They believe that early emotional trauma can be overcome by devoted families, and they help children after they've aged out of the foster care system by providing them with a connection with someone when they're ready to be an adult, which helps them become more successful.
Mental health issues. Do mental health issues have frequently come into play with the clients? Yes, they do. Mental health issues are always a concern. They deal with depression, bipolar, and schizo are common, most mental issues that they have. How do they address the issues? They have the full mental health department actually inside their building, so that creates a stable environment, causing them to become more successful. Intervention versus helping the family. I think Kinship focuses more on helping the family to meet the demands of the child. They focus on family support and education. There's no intervention. Investigation. The strengths and weaknesses of the client. The strengths, the willingness of the parents to learn more and get more educated. They do a lot of group activities, and a lot of family members show up for that. And help support their needs. The willingness of the parents to do what is best for the child and create a plan that it most benefit the child. Weaknesses, parents sometimes think that the love will heal everything, but in reality also need to work along with love. Methods to accommodate clients' needs, to anticipate. Families go through the home process, and they need a minimum of 18 hours, but they do over 35 hours of training. They also do outside training where the family needs to be available. After these steps, the assessment will be made. A lot of families use these services and or support groups.
Okay, so instruments to measure. Oh, that's yours.
Oh, yes. Instruments to measure the client's success. Kinship keeps a lot of data internally a lot of those who work with the Kinship personally keep track of the numbers of children they play successfully. Example, how successful are they for 5 years from now when they first get the child. They also get client feedback through surveys and ask them what services they thought were helpful. They ask parents and speakers for advice.
All right, collaboration. Do they collaborate with other agencies? And yes, they do. And in ways that they do this, they work with state agencies to place the children. They work with the state to receive and fill grants that they have accepted. They work with other community agencies, sharing and working together with all the clients, and help finalize adoptions for the clients if the process has not been completed. Staff qualifications. All the staff dealing with the adoption side must be a master's level social worker. It's possible to have an MFT, but a waiver must be completed for that. And the mental health department must have a bachelor's degree up to a master's, but they prefer a master's over a bachelor's. Staff training. Staff is constantly being trained and must be kept up to date with all the relative laws and issues that they face. Must have CPR and first aid training. Must be able to report any abuse because they are considered a mandated reporter. Must participate in ACT, which stands for Adoption Clinical Training. This is an 8-month course. And the staff turnover rate, what is the rate of the turnover? It's very low. And then what contributes to this is that the Kinship takes good care of their employees, they're flexible, and they all have good benefits. And then the needs of the minorities. Kinship reaches out to all the minority groups. They reach out to the communities and go into churches to also help. There's a lot of resources, both in English and Spanish. A lot of the workers are bilingual, and they offer step-by-step help with all of their paperwork.
Okay, for confidentiality, everything within the office is locked. All the file cabinets and all that's locked. All paperwork, if they're working with other staff within their agency, if they're like transferring paperwork, everything's initialed to know who's seen it. They never use the full name of any of their clients. They have the HIPAA regulations. They have computer safety. And sometimes if they do need to use the names of the children, they will change them, so there's no breach of confidentiality. Society sometimes views adoption or foster care, and they look down upon it. There's usually one of two extremes. Either they say they contribute, like if someone who's adopted or is in foster care has bad behavior, they'll contribute that to being adopted. Or they're held up to extremely high standards. So it's kind of like a lose-lose. You're either like held up to really high standards or just blamed everything on you because you were adopted, which wasn't really your fault. People don't want to adopt. Like I said, the children are a lot of times stereotyped. The parents who do adopt or become foster parents are thought of as saints, which kind of holds them up to a high standard and allows them to be stereotyped. And then a lot of times if parents are thinking about becoming foster parents or adopting, the people around them will kind of talk them out of it and kind of like sway them not to adopt because they'll say, it's not going to work, like it'll create problems within your existing family, or it'll ruin your marriage because problems there. So a lot of times they're swayed not to adopt or become foster parents. The media has a big impact, and most of the time it's negative. For example, if a child commits a crime and the media says they're adopted, or the community finds out they were adopted or in foster care, they'll attribute that to being the cause of the crime as opposed to like the context of the situation or other obvious factors. So a lot of times it's used as like a scapegoat for the problem that it really is. And yeah. The greatest accomplishment is successfully finding, building, and stabilizing permanent families for children. That's the main focus, is them having like permanent families, not just transitioning from home to home. So they find a lot of pride in finding permanent families. And the part that makes this job personally rewarding is seeing the children happy and doing well in their new situation. The cases seem hopeless, and then the family, with the support of those around them in this agency, turned everything around and ended up successfully. It's kind of like an underdog. Saving the lives of children so they can have a better life. And she really emphasized that rewards are more important than money.